evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Night Live with me, Jonny Lipsham, here at jonnylipshamstudios.co.uk, here in the glorious southeast region of Scotland. And as we know, Scotland is, of course, the centre of everything. When God created the universe, he started with Scotland. So, with that in mind, welcome, everybody. I hope you have all had a fantastic week. And I hope you have all had a fantastic weekend so far. A minute ago, as YouTube was telling me that we had 15 people, and then it dropped down to like 3, and now it's back up again to kind of 14. I think there is definitely something wrong with the YouTube real-time analytics, so I'm just going to kind of ignore them, and yeah, maybe you guys can keep me updated on how many likes and how many viewers we have and that kind of thing. I'd appreciate that because it appears to not be working in the live dashboard. Don't know why, but it is what it is. So let's see who is here, shall we? Well, we have Ron Figura, and it looks like Ron might have been the first one in the door. I did set this show up like the day before yesterday, so it's a little hard to tell. Yeah, it looks like Ron was first in the door, and he had a question actually, which we're going to get to. And then we have Billy Morgan, we got Boris Dancing, we've got Tony Stringer, we've got Chris from Rachner, we've got Papa Raptor Music. Welcome back, my friend. It's been a wee while since I last saw you, I think, but I'm glad you're here. And we got Mike Johnson over in the Philippines, we got Rich Cresswell here down in England, we got Stephen Wilson, and we got John Hawk, we got Tony Cardona, and as I said, we got Ron Figura here as well. We got Lowens here, and so far that looks like it. A little bit of a small gathering, but that's okay. And Kyle says, hey you, yes you, click that like button please. Yes, please do. And whilst you're at it, if you're watching and you've not subscribed and you're wondering how you can get access to the chat because it says subscriber only, then please do subscribe. And when you subscribe, please make sure that you select the all notifications notification bell as well. That way you don't miss not only the 2 shows that I do every single week on Wednesday and Sundays, but also a whole raft of other videos that I've got coming out this year. This year, 2024, is going to be a busy year for content for this channel. So I am really, really looking forward to what we've got coming. So yeah, please do make sure you're subscribed and you got the notification bell ringing loud and clear, please. All right, so Ron's question. Let's get to Ron's question because I pinned it to the top of the chat so everybody should be able to see it without having to scroll. So he says, can we discuss best practices when troubleshooting hardware and or software issues like the way triage is done in a medical setting? It's a great question. Now, there is a short answer. The short answer, there's also a longer answer which I'm going to go into as well. But the short answer is, please log into your my.presonus.com account and click on support. When you click on support, that'll take you to the support portal of your account. And then you will find a plus button. And please click on that to create a support ticket for the tech support guys. And when you do that, make sure you fill out all the details correctly. If you just pick random stuff in the menus, just so that you've got something in those menus, all that does is just delay getting your ticket answered, because there's a reason why we ask you for the product, and we ask you for your operating system, and we ask you, are you using any other audio software? Because if you've picked a hardware product, we also need to know what software you're using, because you might not be a Studio One person. You might just be using Presonus hardware. So that's why that field is there. So if you're using Studio One, just select Studio One. Now, if your issue is to do with Studio One itself, like for example, Studio One is crashing repeatedly when you start up a particular song, for example, then select the product as Studio One. And if you're using Studio One 6 Professional, make sure you select Studio One 6 Professional. And then there's a problem category which you don't get to see. But the thing that you need to do next is, once you've filled out all that little bit, you then need to describe the issue. And so the best thing you can do is give us as much information as possible. Our tech support agents can serve you best and serve you most efficiently if you give them the most detailed information you can give. So, for example, like I said, if you've got a song that is repeatedly crashing, then the first thing we need to do is we need to know what you do to make the crash happen. So we call that steps to reproduce. So you need to give us itemized steps to reproduce. So the sequence of things that you do that makes the crash happen. And then the second thing, if it is Studio One crashing, then we need crash reports. Yes, you can generate the diagnostics folder, which is a zip folder, and you can attach that, but those don't always contain crash reports. So if you're on a PC, there is a roaming folder that you need to go into, which is a hidden folder. So when you open up Explorer, you need to click on View at the top of the Explorer dialog, and then there's a little box that says Show Hidden Files. Check that box. And things like app data, program data, those folders will become available to you. And I think the roaming folder is in the app data folder. So that's where you need to go. You need to go app data, you need to go roaming, and then personas, and there you should find your crash report. Grab that, grab the one that's most recent, and attach that to your ticket. There is a way to attach files to your ticket. There is a limit, I think, of 50 megabytes, so make sure that it falls under that limit, and then attach it to your ticket, and then hit submit. And then if you've submitted on a Friday, don't expect an answer until either some point on Monday or even on Tuesday. Depends upon how many tickets have come in over the weekend. If there's a lot of tickets, it's not necessarily going to be a 24-hour response, because there are no tech support agents on Saturday or Sunday. They are Monday to Friday. So yes, Tony, it does apply to Mac as well. Crash reports are found in a different location on a Mac than they are on the PC. If you're not sure where those are, you can Google it. Yeah, you can, whether you're on PC or Mac. If you're not sure where crash reports are, you can just do a Google search for where are crash reports on my PC or where are crash reports on my Mac, and then you'll be able to find those. On a PC, they're called dump files. On a Mac, they're called crash reports, which I think is much more sensible to call them crash reports, because that's what they are. But anyway, so that's how you make a support ticket, and that's how you submit a crash report. Now, if you've got something else going on, again, try and give the tech support guys as much information about what the problem is as possible. Now, you can attach screenshots, you can attach a very short video. So, if you're going to do a video or a screenshot, don't use your phone, okay? Don't use your phone to try and take a picture of your screen or try and shoot a video of your screen. The reason being is the resolution is not going to be great. And the tech support guys need to see detail. Okay, if you want them to help you quickly, they need to see detail. So, I'm going to recommend some things that you can get that are going to help you. For screenshots on a Mac, I think you do Command, Option, and 4, and then you can draw a little box around the area of the screen that you need to capture to show the problem, and then you can attach that picture to your ticket. On a PC, it is Shift, the Windows button, and S. And then, again, that opens up an application on your computer automatically where the screenshot is, and then you can save that to your desktop, and then you can attach that to your ticket. If you're going to make a short video, it doesn't have to have audio. Audio helps, but it doesn't have to have. We're not asking you to make tutorial videos here. We just need to see what's going on. So in that case, I definitely recommend OBS. OBS is a great option, and it's free to download. There are other free options as well. Windows, I don't know whether Windows still have. I don't know whether they still have a screen recording app built into Windows. I can't remember because I don't use it. I use OBS. But if that's still the case, then yes, you can use Windows to make a screen capture. I think you can use the game bar. If you've got that installed, you can use the game bar, and that should record your screen. But again, you need to make it short. Because if you make a video that's too long, it's going to go over that 50 megabyte limit, and then you're not going to be able to attach it. That being the case, if it does go over that 50 megabyte limit, therefore you can't attach it, then the next thing you can do is you can use WeTransfer or Google Drive. And you can upload your video to either of those places. And then the only thing you need to do, with WeTransfer, you don't have to set permissions. So that's one of the best things about WeTransfer. There's no permissions to set. However, if you are going to use Google Drive, upload it to your Google Drive, but then you're going to have to set the permissions to anyone who has the link. Okay? Otherwise, what will happen is tech support will try and access that file, and it'll tell us that we need a password, which is just going to delay things further. So make sure you've got the permissions set correct so that whomever the agent is handling your case can quickly and easily download that video, can watch that video, and then can start to help you with your problem. Okay? So that is the best way to go about dealing with troubleshooting hardware or software. The tech support guys are the best in the business as far as I'm concerned. And I have worked with lots of tech support people in the past for different software programs. And the Presonus guys I think they are the best in the business. Not only do they, get a response to you pretty quickly. As I said, weekends is the exception, but, any other point in the week between, Monday and Friday, they'll get to you within 24 hours. And then after that, response time is, you will maybe go through a little bit of back and forth with the tech support agent, and responses will be pretty quick. But there are busy times of the year, like Christmas, like Easter, like anytime there is a sale on. If there is a sale on, then you can expect that the response times will be a little bit slower because, people are going to be making more support tickets for a variety of things. So bear those kind of things in mind, and make sure that you are nice, friendly, and gracious and patient with your tech support agent, whomever that is, because that will pay in the long run. If you go at tech support people, and this applies to any company in the world, but if you go at tech support people with, a little bit of angst, then they're going to be less inclined. They will obviously help you, but, if you're nice to them, really nice to them, they will go the extra mile for you. They will go the extra mile for you. So, be nice. Pays to be nice. So, kind of the whole triage thing that you're talking about, the tech support agents do as standard. That's kind of standard tech support practice, is they will go through and they will triage the queue. Tech support managers will do that. They'll triage the queue of tickets, and they'll get assigned out or, to appropriate departments, because there are hardware and software departments that are separate. So that's what you need to do. And they will get you the best help that you could possibly get. There are other alternatives as well. So, tech support is going to be your primary source for getting an issue fixed with PreSonus products and with Studio One. But you can also go to the Facebook group, the PreSonus Studio One Facebook group. If you go there as well, you'll find that there are a lot of people that will give you some help who actually really know what they're talking about as well. But they won't be able to give you as detailed assistance as you can get from tech support, because tech support have access to a lot more tools that they can use to diagnose a problem. So there you go. So I hope that helps, Ron. It's a really good question, and I don't think enough people realize that there is a quick and easy way to access tech support. One thing I will say is if you have a tech support problem, for example, Studio One crashing and what have you, then what you should not do is don't use the Contact Us form on the PreSonus.com website. Don't use that. And in fact, there is a notice on that form that says don't do that. The reason being is that if you use the Contact Us form and you need support for Studio One crashing or some other issue with Studio One or PreSonus hardware, it could get just stuck in the contact email inbox, and it may not get answered, or it may be sat in the wrong place, and it may be some like a long time before it gets answered. So that's not your best bet. Don't do that unless the caveat there is if you are having problems actually accessing your my.presonus.com account. If you can't get in to make a support ticket, then yes, use the contact form. But it will take a little bit longer that way to get an answer. But you will get an answer because we do check the contact form regularly. But it does just take a little bit longer to get an answer. But yes, you can also assist yourself as well. Before you go to tech support, you can try and take a look at the issue and see if you can reproduce it as well. That will definitely help. If you know that the crash that you are getting is reproducible, then yes, you can work out what the steps are to reproduce the issue are. That will help a lot as well. Let's see. All right, let's go and see what else we got up here, because I spotted some other things that came in that I would like to address. Let's see. Tony says, yes, you're right about screenshot on Mac. Yes, that is definitely one way the way that I recommend is probably the best way to do it. I tend to forget what it is on Mac because I do screenshots on the PC. I don't tend to do them on the Mac, but yeah. Ron Figura says, looking at the PreSonus website helped me to determine that the latest firmware update was about a month ago. Great, yes. So updating your firmware seems to have resolved your issue by and largely, I think, Ron. Stephen Wilson says, in the lower right corner of the browser, there is a play button to preview WAV files. I don't have any sound when I try to preview my WAV files, and I don't have sound. Okay, let's go and take a look at kind of what you're talking about. Let's see. Well, it kind of depends what you are looking at. Let's go and find some loops, and I will see what I can do to help you. All right, I actually for this need to turn off my camera. I normally have the camera on, but it's just going to get in the way, so I'm going to turn it off. All right, so let's just move this out just a little bit so you can see what's what. Now, if the file says audio loop, then you should get the player at the bottom, and this plays back through your main output. Okay, this is connected behind the scenes to the main output, so you should always get sound to that, especially if the volume here is turned up. Okay, this is important. So if I play this one, and also you can loop it, there's this loop function, and then if you click on this, it will play it at the song tempo, which is obviously a little faster than the source file. Go see what else there is here. So make sure this volume slider is up. If it's empty and then you hit play, it's not going to make any sound. Alright, so you've got to make sure that there is sound. Now, you will find that there are other things that won't necessarily play. So MP3s will play. That's absolutely for sure. Anything that is an MP3 is going to play. So if I go over to my loop loft folder here, which has got a whole bunch of drum loops in it. For example, let's open this one. So I got a whole bunch of extremely cool loops from Loop Loft. I got this years ago, as you can see, 2017. And at the time they had like this everything bundle. And the everything bundle was, I think, £1,300 to get everything. But they were running a 90% off deal. So I got the whole lot for like £100, which was just mental. And they are all awesome. There's some brushes loops as well as some blues loops. There's pretty much everything you can possibly think of. You know, there's like even some hip hop stuff here as well. So yeah, there's absolutely loads of stuff here. And yes, Kyle, you're absolutely right. That that first drum loop that I played was definitely the a bit like the Staying Alive for sure. Let's see what else we got. We got some bembe grooves. Which is pretty cool. All right, so I think the key thing here, Stephen, is make sure you got this volume slider turned up. If it's all the way down, then you're not going to hear a darn thing. All right, I'm going to put the camera back on. There we go. And I'm going to go back over here. And so what you guys are chatting about. Let's see. Yes, you can press the Peter Brooks. You're quite right. You can use the print screen button as well. Yes, print screen is good. Using the Windows Shift and S is even better. It's very, very effective, and that opens the snipping tool. And when you've got that open, you can there's different types of snips you can do. There's like a range select snip, there's window snip, and the thing with print screen is it only does like the whole window. But what if you don't want to give this the whole window, because you don't need to show the whole window, you just want to show the specific thing. Like it might be a dialog box that's popped up and you want to make sure that that dialog box is nice and clear. Well, you can use the Windows snipping tool, which is the Windows Shift and S, and then you can make the range selection literally around that dialog box, so that that dialog box is the only thing that is captured, and then you can attach that to your support ticket. But yes, print screen does work for sure. Ron says, okay, I read that already. Peter says, it does a screen capture of your screen into memory, then go into your art program and press paste. You should see your screen. Yes, that's what the print screen function does. Yes. However, that's like several steps. Now, yes, you can certainly bring that into Paint, which is the art program that you're referring to, and then you can like do some arrows and you can write text on the picture and stuff like that. That's also very, very handy. And you know what? Sometimes I do that for customers. Like, for example, if somebody is looking for a particular menu, they can't find it, then, you know, I'll take a screenshot, I'll put that into Paint, and I'll do some nice arrows and write a little bit of text just to guide whomever it is I'm working with. And then, you know, it's easier for them to kind of then follow what they need to do rather than reading a lot of text. Sometimes text is good, but if I can give somebody a visual, because, you know, some people are visual learners and some people aren't. So if I give somebody a visual that they can then go and follow, it might actually get to a resolution much quicker. But yes, that is definitely a good option. Bobby Beard says, most of the crashes I have come across are usually on third-party plugins. Yes, that is pretty darn accurate. Yeah, most crashes that you'll encounter are going to be third-party plugins, but it's not always the case. Sometimes it is something inside of Studio One that causes the problem, and sometimes a simple uninstall of Studio One and a fresh install of Studio One will resolve the issue. Now, when I'm talking about uninstalling and reinstalling Studio One, I'm not talking about uninstalling all the content and all the sound sets and all the loops and everything else. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the program. So, you know, for that on a Mac, you would just go to Applications, locate Studio One, and just do uninstall. On a PC, kind of similar, a little bit different. You go into Apps and Programs, and then you just locate Studio One and you uninstall it. And then you go into your my.presonus.com account, and then you just do a fresh install of just the program. Because all of the content, like all the sound sets and everything else, those are in separate folders. They're never stored inside the program. Just like your songs, they're never stored inside the program. They are referenced from other locations on your computer. Because Studio One is smart. It keeps itself nice and slender and lean so that it's quick to download and install. And then the content is kind of in a separate location. So it's really smart doing it that way. Let's see. Ron says, Google says Mac print screen is Shift, Command, and 3. Yes, for the whole screen. But Shift, Command, and 4 is for if you want to just do a range. Like if you want to just show one dialog box, then Shift, Command, and 4 will give you that option. And will allow you to do like a range selection of as much or as little of the screen as you want to show. But yes, if you want the whole screen, then press Shift, Command, and 3 will do the job. Would it be appropriate? Tony Cardona says, would it be appropriate to discuss the proliferation of guitar tabs and if that is considered a feasible and not cheap way to learn an instrument, i.e., is this pro or not pro? Maybe that's a question for Wednesday rather than for Sunday. Sunday is all about Studio One. It's not really to do with those kind of questions. Those are more for Songwriting Simplified or I don't know, because it's not really songwriting, is it? But yes, that probably would be more for Wednesday than for tonight's show. Billy Morgan says, sorry late to the show, been napping, not night, waking up to the smooth voice of Mr. Lip. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. You're very kind. Steve Wilson says, I have a program on my computer called Snagit. It's a screenshot capture program that allows you to save and partial screenshots. Yes, Snagit is made by TechSmith, the same company that make Camtasia, which is their screen recording software. I used Camtasia for a long time. I used it for many years to make videos. Now, the problem I encountered with Camtasia is that it only actually records the outputs of channels 1 and 2, which is a bit of a problem. Oh, okay, thank you for that, Papa Raptor. I appreciate that. So, that's a bit of a problem because I need to be able to record my microphone and the output of Studio One at the same time. There is a workaround on a PC, and that is to connect the outputs of your interface that you're using with Studio One into the inputs of another interface, and then you set that second interface as the microphone input in Camtasia. That's the only way you're going to be able to capture your microphone and Studio One into Camtasia at the same time. So I did that for a long time, and I actually used the PreSonus monitor station to be able to balance the microphone and the output of Studio One. You know, kind of like get those levels balanced between the two things. By basically, there's a Q output on the monitor station, and you basically just run your outputs of your Studio One interface into the monitor station, and then you run a Q output pair of cables from the Q out of the monitor station into your second interface inputs, and then you, as I said, you set that as the microphone input in Camtasia, and it works beautifully, and you get a nice balance between your microphone and Studio One, and it worked really, really well. And I did that for the longest time until I went to Windows 10. When I went to Windows 10, I found that the second interface I had just didn't work on Windows 10. It was too old. It just wasn't supported. It wouldn't work. But then I got the Studio 1824C, which has loopback. And loopback is awesome, by the way. Loopback works in Universal Control, and you basically create a virtual stereo input in the Studio One I/O, and then when you've done that, that input can be recorded into OBS, which is how you heard the intro music tonight, and how you heard, you know, those examples of drum loops and stuff inside of Studio One. And you're listening to this, you know, to my microphone going through OBS on a separate track as well. So I've got Studio One on one stereo track, and then I've got my mic on a mono track with a bit of EQ and compression and limiting that the Studio One track doesn't have. You can do that in OBS, and basically the virtual loopback is for Studio One. It's not for my microphone, and it works perfectly. And it doesn't require two interfaces, it's just one. So that works really well for capturing a little video. Snagit is really good for taking screenshots as well. But like I said, there's something already built into Windows that you can use. And there's something built into Mac that you can already use as well. You don't need to have a second piece of software. Let's see. But that's good. Boris Dancy says, what do you do when you have a plugin that has too many controls to map to my Fader Port 8, like Pro Q3? Pro Q3. Are you talking about the FabFilter plugin the Pro Q3 from FabFilter. I think that's what you're referring to. You've reached the limit, basically. Potentially. I don't know how many... I have the Pro Q3, but to be honest, I don't do a lot of mapping. I have the single fader port, so I don't do a lot of mapping. So I don't know what the limit is on the fader port 8 as to how many controls you can map. But yeah, there is going to be a limit at some point. It's certainly not unlimited to what you can do on the fader port 8 for, things that you can control. And I would say, the fader port 16 may give you a bit more compared to the fader port 8. But really, I think the best thing that you can do is think carefully about what parameters you use the most on the Pro Q3 and map those to parameters and control knobs and things like that on the fader port, or faders on the fader port. And just only map those ones. Don't map everything. That's the only thing I can really suggest. Peter Brooks says Studio One is in the top 5 DAWs. Yes, it is. When you think about how young Studio One is, it was first launched in 2009. So it's not very old when you compare it to, the granddaddies of DAWs like Pro Tools and Cubase, because those two have been around since the start of DAWs. And then you have, Logic, which was made by a company called eMagic originally. And then they got bought by Apple, and eMagic is just a non-existent thing now. But Logic remains. And Logic, when it was on PC, Logic was wonderful. It was a wonderful DAW. I used it for a little while when I was thinking about dumping Cubase. And of course it wouldn't work. I couldn't dump Cubase when Logic had been dumped from PC. You couldn't use it on PC anymore. It became just Mac exclusive when Apple bought it. So I was like, oh great, I'm just gonna have to go back to Cubase then. So I did, and I didn't get to Studio One until a few years later in 2013. What else do we have? Kyle says Pro Q3 you can add just about any amount of nodes you can always run out. Yes, that's very true. I'm not sure what the answer to your question there is, Peter Brooks. Funny idea though. All right, we got any more Studio One questions, folks? Because I am very, very happy to answer some more Studio One questions. But we've had some great questions tonight. Especially focusing on technical support. So if you guys want to, I can, if you like, I can run through. Oh, there you go. I can, if you want, I can run you through the process of creating a support ticket. Most of you, I think, will know how to do it, but just in case, it's always worth checking to be sure. So let's go back to the screen. So when you're in your account, so I have Studio One Plus, but you may well not have Studio One Plus, and that's okay. So up here it would just say Personas. Okay, so you click on support, and then that takes you to this page here. Now what do we have here? We have the knowledge base for pretty much every Personas product, going back to products that don't even exist anymore, like Studio One version 1 and Nimbit, for example. Legacy Firewire products, Notion, Studio Live Mixer family, studio monitors, preamps and monitoring controllers, quantums, fader port, studio series USB capture, Atom pad controllers, revelators, iOS 24, Studio Live AR family, AudioBox family, Studio Live 1602, networking, and Studio Live Series 3 has its own category, Studio One Plus, and then there's a general one, and then there's Studio One version 6 at the very top here. So the first thing you need to do is you'll see that you've got open tickets and closed tickets. So if you click on open tickets, if you've got replies from technical support, you'll find these here. And they will usually be labeled as pending. If you've had a reply from tech support, you'll find those here. Any tickets that you have had, like I've done a bunch of test tickets and things when we were testing moving over to a slightly newer version of the system that we use. I created a bunch of test tickets, which are all set to closed. So the first thing you do is click on this button here that says create a ticket. Click on that. Tap in your subject here. This is where you go into your steps to reproduce and stuff like that, and other details that tech support need. Choose your countries, start typing to filter countries. So if you're in the United States of America, you would type United, and there you go. United States of America is there. Okay. And then your product. So if it's a Studio One issue, you can just scroll down, or you can just start typing Studio One, and then you can go 6, and then you can go 6 professional, artist, artist OEM, demo, prime, or prime OEM, depending upon what version of Studio One you have. And then your operating system. Don't select anything that's no longer supported. So like 10.10 Yosemite, for example, or El Capitan or Tiger or something like that. These are not supported anymore. So again, start typing. So if you are Windows, whoops. Oh, come on, Lipsham. Windows 10 32-bit, not supported. So it's going to be Windows 10 64, or it's going to be Windows 11. All of these other ones here are not supported. Windows XP was never supported. So make sure you select something that is supported, like Windows 10. Audio software. So if you have typed in your product here, let's say your product here is not Studio One 6, it's AudioBox USB. Let's say it's the USB 96 stereo. Then here, when you type in the audio software, it's going to be whatever you're using it with. So you might be using it with any of these programs, okay, including Studio One V6. So you've got your subject, you've got your description, you've done your country, you've done your your product, and then you can choose to attach a file here. It says 20 megabytes file size limit. I don't think that's correct anymore. I think we upped that to 50, but I will double check that to be sure. And then you just choose your file and then you hit submit. All right. And that is pretty much how you do it. Make sure you are selecting the correct product, the correct operating system, and your correct audio software. So if your problem is to do with Studio One, so we go back to Studio One 6 Pro, then in your audio software, just choose Studio One V6, okay? This has to be filled. You can't leave this blank, okay? Because the submit button won't work. So you need to choose something. And I would say don't just choose something at random, choose something that's relevant, because all of this information is important to technical support agents so that they know where you are, what your operating system is, what product you're having the issue with, and any other audio software that you have installed, because that actually may be of use in case we need to use that other DAW to test to see if the same issue exists in that other DAW. in which case the issue is going to be a hardware problem rather than a software problem, or it could be an issue to do with your computer, for example. So that's important. Crash reports, screenshots, short videos, click on this guy. And that will get you in the right place. And then hit submit, and that creates the ticket. I'm not going to do that just now, but when you have submitted your ticket, I have not yet submitted, that's fine, I'm not fast. Once you've submitted your ticket, it will appear in this open ticket section here, and the status will be set to open. And then it's a case of you sit and wait. Now, when you get a response from technical support, it will show up in your open tickets section. So your ticket will then have a reply, and it will be set to a status of pending because it's pending your reply. Okay? So you will see that there is something from your tech support agent who has your ticket in here. You will also get an email that will tell you, hey, there's a reply to your support ticket. And you'll of course get a support ticket number as well. But this is what it looks like. This is a reply from a tech support agent, and this has been set to solved already. Okay, and there's my pretty picture because it was me that made this support ticket. So that just gives you an idea and a flavor of how to deal with a tech support ticket. Make sure you give the right information and the most accurate information, and that you select the right products, because that will help your ticket get to the right department and the right agent more quickly. All right, so I hope that helps. It's important. Tony says, I loved using Logic on my PC until I decided to go all Mac. What a disappointment. From there I went to Samplitude. Yeah, oh, I remember Samplitude. Yeah, I never used it, but I certainly remember it. Let's see what else we got. Click this, hit that thumbs up. Yes, please do hit that thumbs up. Hit that like button. It helps me a lot. Also, please subscribe. If you've not subscribed yet, please do that. We are perilously close to 5,400 subscribers. My target is to get to 6,000 before the end of this year, and then we want to push on towards 10,000. So when we get to 6,000 subscribers, we will celebrate, and there may well be some special event to commemorate getting to 6,000, and there may be possibly, not promising anything, but there may be a prize for somebody to win. We'll see. I've not fully decided how we're going to do that yet, but yeah, do stand by for that. Now, as for how things are going to go in 2024, excuse me, there will be 2 challenges this year, at least 2, but there will be 2 main ones. There's going to be one at Easter, and then, one at Halloween, I should say. One at Halloween, and then the other one will be at Christmas. So those are the 2 big ones, and there may be a smaller challenge at Easter as well. I'm thinking about doing an Easter challenge. I think I've talked about this before on the Songwriting Simplified show, where the challenge is going to be along the lines of, I've not firmed this up yet, so don't take my word just yet, but this is my current idea, and that is that if you're up for it, we will write a song, an Easter song, about an Easter egg from the perspective of the Easter egg. And you can make it as fun and as entertaining as you like. You can certainly do that. You can make it a sad song, you can make it a happy song, you can do whatever you like. But the songs, the lyrics, the story of your lyrics need to be from the perspective of the Easter egg. So write it in the first person point of view, from the Easter egg point of view. I think that would be fun to do. A fun little challenge. So you could create a whole story of a child interacting with an Easter egg or something like that. So yeah, we will go with that as an Easter challenge. There will be no prize for this. It will just be bragging rights. So write your best song, and I will play a whole bunch of your submissions on when we get to the deadline, which will be Easter Monday. So if you guys are around on Easter Monday, that will be the deadline, and then we will go through your songs on the Wednesday after Easter. All right, that will be fun. Elusive 1970, that's my friend Mark. He says, how do you turn off a key switch? Are you talking about the sound variations in Studio One? I think that's what you're talking about. In which case, I can show you exactly how sound variations work in Studio One. They are very, very, very powerful and very, very effective. So let's go and grab something that we know has some key switches. So we will go with cello, because cello's got some nice sounds to it. So this is the cello, and this section here where you've got the red line, these are all the articulations / key switches, sound variations. And at the moment it's set to sustain, but you can change it to anything that you want by default. So let's create a little 2-bar section here. And you'll see here that you have the sound variations selected here, and you will see those appear in this lane here. So let's draw in some notes. We'll draw in a mixture of long notes and we'll also draw in some short notes as well. And I'll lengthen that to the end of the part. There we go. All right, so let's just play this little melody. And let's slow down the tempo. All right, now let's click on this wrench tool because we want to see what we've got available. And there's like 17 of these sound variations available. Now, if you right click a note, you'll see that there are articulations. These are kind of more for scoring and that kind of thing. And then you've got apply sound variations. So let's say for this first one, we go for legato. And then for this one here, we go for, let's go for a half step tremolo. And then let's say this one, let's say these short notes here are going to be pizzicato. So let's range select those and we'll go, let's see, pizzicato. There we go. And then this one here, this long note here, let's say we will go with crescendo. Like that. All right, so let's say we've decided that we don't want this to be a staccato, this note here. So you can apply a different sound variation. You've even got a list of ones that have just been used. Or you can just go back to the sustain or legato, which is basically just the long, just a normal bowed note. So that's kind of like the default sound. All right. But then if you just don't want one to happen like this one here, you can just delete that one. And what you'll notice is that the gap gets filled up by this one here, this trill, half step trill. Let's say we don't want this to be crescendo. Let's change this one to something else. How about a crescendo upward slowly? Like that, for example. So you can change these sound variations at any time just by right-clicking a note and going, yeah, I want a different sound. And you can change the articulations as well. Like, for example, let's say we want this note, this glissando here, to have a strong accent to it. So it's got a lot more attack. And let's do the same with this one here as well. So let's go articulation. Let's go strong attack. Now, let's see. Can we combine this with a tremolo? With the 3 slashes. Let's see if that does that. No, that kind of broke it. So we'll just remove that. Alright, so there we go. So you can change these sound variations at any time. You can change any of the musical symbols at any time. Now, you'll notice in the score, the only thing that appears, let's just set this to the correct thing here. So we'll go strings, cello solo. The only thing that you'll notice that appears is the strong accent. You don't actually see any of the sound variations in the score. Okay? But you can see them changing here. You can see the sound variations changing here, and then you can click on this and you can change. You can select a note and you can change any of the sound variations. All right, so I hope that that helps. It's a good question. Tony says, I'll definitely pop the court when 6,000 is realized. Thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. That's very cool. Thank you. Peter Brick says, I could just eat an Easter egg. Well, you could. And I tell you what, if you were to eat that in front of a microphone and record the sound of you eating your Easter egg and then slow it down and then pitch it down and slow it down some more and then pitch it down some more again and then, you know, compress it, limit it, you could make the sound of you eating an Easter egg sound very, very scary indeed. And then all you need to do is just, you know, create some scary music to go with that. That'd be quite fun. A Roz Boring Alice says, was late heavy date, so sped on the bike, just to give you a like. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see. I'm trying to see what's going on here. Mike says he'll launch a Zoom. He's going to go and grab his laptop. P.S. I'm offended by your deliberate censor of ostinato. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by censoring ostinato. I don't think I'm doing that. Elusive 1970 says, cool, I was drawing them in and couldn't get them to turn off. Yes, you can just select them and change them on the fly, pretty much to whatever you want. Alright, so we are all done and dusted for the show, and it looks like Billy has beaten Mike to it with putting in an after show Zoom. So if you guys all want to pile over there after the show, then we will head over there. Thank you very much for joining me. And it looks like we had, we currently have 20 people here, which is awesome. Thank you very much. And we got 24 likes. Billy and Mike are competing for Zooms. Oh boy. Pick one of those that you want to join, and I don't know. I don't know which one is going to run now. Right, Billy, Mike, decide which one is going to do the after show. Decide amongst yourselves and then post which one is going to be the actual after show Zoom. unless you want to split into 2 groups. But I would prefer it if we actually just have one that everyone piles into. So you guys decide amongst yourselves and then post in the chat which one it's going to be. That would be cool. After shows are always good. Mike says he'll close and he'll go to Billy's. Okay, great. That answers that question. Thanks, everybody. And I'll see you on Wednesday for Songwriting Simplified, where we will continue looking at melody writing. We had a great session last week where we looked at some of the bare bones basics of developing kind of an arc of a melody. You know, rising phrase, descending phrase. Rising phrase, descending phrase. Doesn't always have to look like that, but it's a good place to start for melody writing. So we're going to continue that on Wednesday. So I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks a lot for coming, everybody. Thanks for all your questions and all your likes. I appreciate it a lot. And I will see you on Wednesday. And I will also see you for the after show party as well. It's going to be cool. All right, folks. See you then. Good night.